always ready. It's the 17th of July, 6:30. The Platting Board comes to order. May I have roll call, please?
Dan Young.
Present.
Clayton Walker.
Present.
Don Porter.
Present.
Kevin Cross.
Present.
Valerie Ritz.
Present.
Becky Lipson, Christina Enix, Mark Seward, and Jana Weltzing are excused. Thank you.
Dwight. May I have a positive motion that we do the Pledge of Allegiance? Mr. Walker, and a second. Mr. Porter, any objections? All rise. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, next item on the agenda is approval of the action summaries of Wednesday, June 5th, 2019. May I have a positive motion? Mr. Walker moves, Mr. Cross seconds. Or is there any opposition to the motion? Hearing and seeing none, the action summaries are approved. Next item on the agenda is the minutes of June 5th, 2019. May I have a positive motion to approve the minutes? Mr. Walker moves, Ms. Ritz seconds. Is there any opposition, any discussion? That motion passes. Next item is special order of business disclosures. Is there any disclosures tonight? If there are no disclosures, that I will do mine. In the matter of case S12489, AWWU MLP facility, replat track A, B, and C, I have worked for the petitioner, I have worked for MLMP, and I have worked, done subsurface investigation on this property, which in my opinion is irrelevant for the matter in front of us tonight. I have no financial or personal interest in the matters before the board. I can remain impartial in fact and action as a member of this board without personal bias. My past involvement and personal interest will not prevent me from fairly evaluating the facts of this case. May I have a positive motion directing me to participate? Mr. Walker and Mr. Cross seconds. Mr. Walker, will you speak to your motion, please?
I move that the board direct you to participate in case 12489. You have no financial interest that you've disclosed in the matter before the board, and you've stated that you can act impartially and fairly on the matter. Accordingly, I'm going to be in favor of the motion.
Thank you. Is there any opposition to the motion? Hearing and seeing none, the motion passes. I'm directed to participate. Next item is abbreviated plat action summaries from June 3rd, June 10th, and June 17th. Are there any comments or any discussion on these? Hearing and seeing none, we'll move on. We don't have a consent agenda tonight. We don't have old business, and so we're down to new business. So for everybody attending tonight, we have a short board. That means that when there is a short 5-member board or commission and a postponement is offered to and agreed to by the petitioner, they will be moved to the next regular agenda. This should occur within 30 days, which does not require renoticing the case. new public hearing notices advertising. If the petitioner is willing to postpone but unable to attend the next available meeting date within 30 days, the petitioner has a one-time only option to choose the next date certain he/she can attend at no extra cost. When a postponement is requested by the petitioner, there is a rescheduling fee, AMC R 21.20.007.a, and a new public hearing date shall be determined by the Planning Division. This will put the case in the next available cutoff date, Q, as if they were submitting their case for the first time. So what this means in short is that if in any cases that come before us tonight, all 5 of us must vote in a positive manner for them to be approved. If there's one dissenting, then the motion fails. So how would you, the petitioners, like to proceed? State your name for the record, please.
Wendy Wilbur with Kittleson and Associates, representing the municipality of Anchorage for case S12489, and we would like to go ahead and proceed.
Thank you.
Michael Draghi with Century 21 Realty Solutions, case S12482, Ransom Ridge Subdivision, and we'll proceed.
Thank you. The first case tonight, oops, I gotta read this. Then we'll get to the first case. The procedure by which the public may speak to the Planning Board at its meeting is, after staff presentation is completed or public hearing items, the chair will ask for public testimony on the issue. Persons who wish to testify will follow the time limits established by the Commission rules and procedures. Petitioners, including all her representatives, have 10 minutes. Part of this time may be reserved for rebuttal. Representative groups, commonly community councils, PTAs, etc., have 5 minutes. Individuals have 3 minutes. When your testimony is complete, you may be asked questions by the board. You may only testify once on any issue unless questioned by the board. Any individual may have appeal rights relating to any action the Planning Board takes. Appeal of this decision or any of the conditions is governed by AMC 21.11.304. The decision of the board at the scheduled public hearing shall become final 7 calendar days after the date the decision is made on the record, unless a written request is submitted to the Planning Division prior to the expiration of the 7th day to prepare a written decision based upon the record made at the hearing, and the request is accompanied by a written notice of intent to appeal. Adoption of the written decision by the Planning Board becomes the final appealable decision. Within 20 days of the final appealable decision, an interested party must file with the municipal clerk either a written notice alleging new evidence or changed circumstances per AMC 21.11.503 or an appeal of the board's final appealable decision per AMC 21.30. I hope everybody got that, because now we're going to start. And for the first case, may we have staff's presentation, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a request from the owner of Ransom Ridge Subdivision Lot 3A to delete Plat Note 2 from Plat 85-283. This plat note states, quote, Lot 3A is restricted to a 2-bedroom maximum dwelling unit until municipal sewer is available. Lot 3A has an existing 3-bedroom house in violation of this note. Planning staff researched the building permit history and was unable to determine how the 3-bedroom house was constructed in conflict with this note. The on-site system was recently upgraded and is now adequately sized for the number of bedrooms for the home. Therefore, the plat note is no longer needed. removal of the plat note will have no negative effect on neighboring properties. The number of bedrooms will not have a negative impact on adjacent in the R6 district. The on-site water and wastewater services division supports removing this plat note, but requests additional information about the on-site septic system prior to approval. There were no public comments received, and the Rabbit Creek Community Council did not comment. The Planning Department is recommending approval of the applicant's request to remove Plat Note 2 with 2 conditions of approval requested by on-site water and wastewater services. They are to confirm that the diverter valve has been replaced with a flow splitter and provide an alternate septic field design. These are standard sort of requirements for homes on on-site septic systems. The on-site water and wastewater services division guesses that these probably have already been completed, but is seeking the paperwork to be filed. They think that maybe the engineer was on vacation or something, and it's just I think it's mostly a paperwork issue, but they're asking for those 2 conditions of approval. Be happy to answer any questions, and the applicant is here as well. Thanks.
Thank you. We'll now open up the public hearing. May we have the petitioner's representative state your name. For the record, spell your last name. A lot of requirements. And let us know if you'd like to reserve time for rebuttal, please.
My name is Michael Draghi. I'm the broker owner of Century 21 Realty Solutions. Last name is Droege. And we won't need to reserve time for rebuttal, I don't believe.
Okay, you may begin.
The home is, as my understanding, was built originally as a 2-bedroom structure, and they had added a 3rd bedroom at some point. When we listed the property for sale, it was made aware to us through our research that there was a 2-bedroom septic system that had failed, and was a second 2-bedroom leach field was installed in 2016. Because there was a 3rd bedroom, we approached on-site and asked that if, in fact, we pre-soaked the old system and proved its adequacy and the 2 systems were combined, would they approve a 3-bedroom COSA? They agreed that that was a reasonable solution. It has a 1,250-gallon tank, so the tank is large enough. The application was made. The COSA certificate was issued based on the test of the system, and it had a expiration date of the 3rd of July because we were going to have the original platting presentation on the July 3rd. The paperwork has been submitted as far as I know. If not, I can follow up with the engineer to make sure that it is. He did install the diverter valve because that was a requirement of the COSA, and it was conditional based on the removal of the plat note, but everything has been completed.
Thank you. If you wish to have rebuttal tonight, you have 8 minutes and 38 seconds. Are there any questions for the petitioner's representative? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here tonight that would like to testify? Hearing and seeing none. Do you have any rebuttal, last-minute thoughts?
The only thing I'll say is it appears that the system is more than adequate. The design was done, but I'll follow up, and if there's any work that's necessary, we'll continue to follow up to make sure that it's done.
Thank you. So are any questions for petitioner's representative? With hearing and seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing, and the matter now rests with the board. You guys are ahead of me. A motion to approve, Mr. Walker.
I move that we approve the deletion of the restrictive plat note number 2 from plat 85-283, subject to resolving the 2 items on the site, on-site water and waste. Well, I think it should say wastewater services division. Items number 1 and 2.
Thank you. Mr. Porter seconds. Mr. Walker, will you speak to your motion, please?
Yeah, I find that the requirements of the code 21.03-200G have been met. The plat note only involves one lot, so only the one lot needs to be a party to the action, and that the approval criteria provided in G1G have been met, and that the conditions have changed. The technology available for making a septic system is improved, and it meets the 3-bedroom requirements. Removal of the note will not be affecting the other parcels because it's only the septic on this specific lot that's being involved. And I find that it continues to meet the criteria of section 2103-200C. Therefore, I'll be voting in favor of the modification.
Thank you. Are there any other comments, discussion? I'll just add to that. There were no public comments for this matter, and we found that the approval criteria on page 1 has been met. The plat note is overly restrictive and unnecessary. So, given this motion, is there any opposition to this motion? Hearing and seeing none, the motion passes. Congratulations. Next item on the agenda is case S12486, Municipality of Anchorage Real Estate Services, request to remove plat note 9 from plat 2009-16. And there's a request for postponement. Mr. Walker makes the motion. Mr. Cross seconds. Is there any opposition to this motion? There's hearing and seeing none. The motion passes, and this case is postponed. Next item on our agenda is case S12489, AWWU ML&P Facility Replat Track A, B, and C. May we have staff's presentation, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a request to subdivide 4 lots into 3 tracts of land. This plat is before the Platting Board as it is a municipal-owned property and subject to the requirements of a public hearing, AMC 2103-200B2. The parcels are bounded by Glen Highway to the north, Centennial Park to the west, J Bear to the east, and the Senior Housing Complex to the south. Historically, AWW and Municipal Light and Power have coexisted on several lots. However, with the sale of ML&P to Chugash Electric, it is necessary to create the proposed tracts to align with the real property that will be transferred. This plat will create 3 tracts of land by adjusting the interior property lines. The current uses for the tracts will continue. The petition site includes the AWW Ship Creek Water Treatment Facility and the ML&P Power Generation Plant. This encompasses approximately 57.2 acres. Tract B will be transferred to Chugash Electric per the sale agreement approved by the Anchorage Assembly. Tract A and Tract C will remain under the ownership of AWW. Maintaining secure and restricted access to all tracts is critical to protect vital water and electrical infrastructure that serves the municipality of Anchorage. Road improvements and dedication. No improvements are recommended at this time to Bald Eagle Drive and Starview Drive. The frontage road along Starview Drive has restricted access and a guard gate per a signed memorandum of agreement between the State Department of Transportation and the municipality of Anchorage. This preliminary plat appears to generally conform to the petition site's classification as shown in the Anchorage 2040 land use plan map, specifically policy 5.1 and 5.5, with existing infrastructure capacity and planned improvements for facilities, land use policy 5.1, and to ensure that adequate public facilities are available when and where they are needed. This subdivision will ensure that the public facilities and the private facility are located on their own tracts of land and allow for future growth of both facilities. The department recommends approval of the plat subject to conditions 1 through 4 found on page 5 of the staff packet. And there has been some late comments that had come in from the public that were received in matters of a trail issue. So I just want to touch base. The adopted 2014 East Anchorage District Plan. It does, on page 68, it does talk about a Muldoon perimeter trail, and I'd like to state what it reads in the book. It says the concept of a perimeter regional trail corridor at the neighborhood J-Bear interface has been a long-held future asset to the district residents, included as a planned multi-use trail in the area-wide trails plan. The concept is generally located along the district's east edge along J-Bear boundary. It has gained interest with the bicycle community as well as participants in the planning process who selected it as a feature to both the district and bowl-wide users. However, the district plan process also brought forth issues raised by the trail's location and fundamental conflicts concerning its proximity to J-Bear. Besides current concerns about general public access to military training areas, the trail may be in direct conflict with safety zone used for live military training exercises. Before the perimeter trail can be considered, there will need to be resolution of its location relative to safety zones, design, use restrictions, the need for barriers to public entry to J-Bear land, in terms of construction access, environmental conflicts, and permitting, and the need for J-Bear municipality use agreements. So the trail will remain conceptual until these conflicts and issues can be addressed and resolved. The trail area potentially could connect from Peck Avenue to provide access in the future. Providing a trail easement through AW and MLP facilities is not really compatible with critical citywide infrastructure, security, and the safety for all the users. The petitioner is here tonight and the representative, and they can, more likely, they'll elaborate a little bit on that as well. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for staff? We're going to open the public hearing, and may we have the petitioner's representative come forward, state your name, spell your last name for the record, please.
My name is Wendy Wilber, W-I-L-B-E-R, with Kittleson and Associates, and I'm representing the municipality of Anchorage, MLP, AWW, and Real Estate Services.
Would you like to reserve any of your time for rebuttal?
About 5 minutes.
5 minutes, okay.
So I think that Sean did a great job summarizing this plat. It's a very simple plat, necessary for the resale. We're not changing any exterior lines. We're not changing any access. This is all interior lines. We would actually like to add a condition of approval to this plat based on negotiations with the Department of Transportation. And that is simply to add a plat note, number 5, that upon future development, existing and future driveways will require a driveway permit from the Alaska Department of Transportation and Public Facilities. I do have that written down.
Can you share a copy with
Oh,
us?
it's on my notes.
Okay, it's all right. How about reading it to us again? We'll write it down.
Without like talking 100 miles an hour. So upon future development, existing and future driveways will require a driveway permit from the Alaska Department of Transportation and Public Facilities. And I should add to that plat note, which I didn't think through all the way, and that would be along the Glen Highway frontage road, where their easement is.
Does anybody want to read it again? We're good.
That's that would be under 5, wouldn't it? Municipal Traffic Division comments, would that fall under, would there be a 5A, or would that just be a? 5.
Just 5.
And that was a request with the Department of Transportation.
Are you finished? No? No. Keep going.
Okay. And I would like to expound on the trail easement. From a liability and risk management perspective, having a public trail through AWWU critical infrastructure that serves the entire city is not a compatible use, and this trail does terminate at J-Bear land. It's really, unfortunately, a trail to nowhere at this time. And until we can resolve access, we don't want to encourage access or trespass onto J-Bear land, potentially into live fire safety zones. And it would also encourage trespass down into the AWWU facility and MLNP. And to have industrial uses, critical infrastructure that serves our whole community at risk is just not prudent. So we do not support that easement. It is not supported by adopted land use plans, and so we request that that not be a condition of approval. And I will entertain any questions.
Thank you. You have 7 minutes and 37 seconds for rebuttal. Are there any questions for the petitioner's representative? Thank you.
Thanks.
Is there anyone from the public wishing to testify tonight? Please step forward, state your name, and spell your last name for us, please.
Stuart Grenier, Grenier. I am on the Northeast Community Council. And Chair Young, I noticed in the acquired information here, there's no notice of the motion passed by the Community Council. The Northeast Community Council passed the motion not supporting the replat unless there was a trail easement. Unfortunately, due to my own, well, I guess I should have looked at it online. I didn't see it in there. All I saw was a copy of the minutes showing that it was at the council and it was on the agenda and we talked, but we did pass a motion, which unfortunately I don't have in front of me, but the idea was that we do not support the replat unless we can get a trail easement in there. Growing up in the area, I did take part in a ski race called Service to Centennial. There's a history of Centennial Park connected with the lands east, and we would ski from Service High School, and we had permits at the time, go across Fort Richardson at the time, and you would come out and finish the race by skiing down the sledding hill at Centennial Park. This race hasn't actually been held in years, but as the Cook Inlet housing has become more and more of a fixture, the traditional trail has disappeared, and the only wooded section that exists is the one that's on the Anchorage AWWU section there. What has happened is there's a lot of people living in the area now. If you look at the, hundreds of units have come in, and there's probably going to be more units coming eventually. So the idea that you can walk out your door from one of those units and go into the woods, go across the trail, and go into Centennial Park is really appealing. And if you look at the people who are actually using things, there's just primarily dog walkers. When there's snow conditions, they actually throw snow on that road that goes across. I do have some handouts here I can give you if you want, but the point is that lots of people go into the woods there. Those housing units are basically 50% native, and they're picking berries and doing this and that. As far as it being a security risk for the water facility, there's an 8-foot fence with a gate, and it has barbed wire on it. And we're just asking for a trail that would connect Centennial Park. The idea is the connectivity of our park system, and there is an easement along the military fence. The easement is located on the military side of the fence, but people have been talking about this for years, and the current plan, which is still in committee at the Community Council, is to connect the Ship Creek overpass, Ship Creek Bridge on the Glen Highway with a bike trail that would go down and basically along the military fence or the gas line, and then come out and tie in with the Campbell Track. It would be like a Tony Knowles coastal trail for the east side. And people are talking about it, and they will talk about it, and hopefully the council will be able to pass a motion eventually, and then it will go into the public domain and let the other parties talk about it. So we just want to keep connectivity. The idea that you'll be able to go from Chance New Muldoon Park to Centennial Park on an uninterrupted bike trail would just mean so much. and to have that trail tie in with the camel track and tie into the Glen Highway Trail eventually would be awesome. As far as how would this work with the military? Well, we have to find our plan and then put it out there and then see where we can find some agreement. Living there my whole life, the trail systems, people make trails, and we're grateful that we've been able to go through there. And hopefully you guys will see fit to, keep access open, and or at least try to get us some legal access. And if you live there, you would be fighting for this too. I would just like to encourage you guys to go out there and take a look. If to have a potential tie-in to a trail system, it just takes political will.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Is there a trail there already?
Yes.
And
It's
location?
overgrown by grass. It's more visible in the wintertime because people pack it with snowshoes.
And what's the location of this trail?
Okay. The problem is that I couldn't do the squiggly line on the computer, but I do have. May I approach and hand these?
Please.
And I would also like to add that the condo association I live in, Alpine Village, passed a motion in favor of this too, but I don't have it in front of me.
Thank you. So I see the term on here says hoped for trail easement, correct?
Exactly.
So that's where you're hoping to have one, but there isn't one presently.
There's no easement, but there is a trail.
And is this trail on the area-wide plan?
No. The area-wide plan just has a dotted line. Well, the last area-wide plan I saw had a dotted line that basically went on the military side of the fence and tied in somewhere in that area. It's not on the area-wide trail plan. Historically, where you see all the Siri...
Hang on. You answered my question. That's
yeah,
good.
okay.
Are there trails on the J-Bear side that this is supposed to connect to?
Well, yes. There are trails on the J-Bear side that goes through it. At the end of Peck Avenue, there's a moose gate. The moose gates stay, you know what a moose gate is. They have the swinging arms. And yes, there's a trail that goes through there. Okay. And yeah.
And on the Centennial Park, there's trails over there that would link up with this location?
Most definitely, yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you. Anyone else wishing to testify tonight? Anyone at all? Hearing and seeing none, would you like to use your rebuttal time?
Yes, I would like to reiterate that this is critical infrastructure. This is our power and our water that serves everybody in this community, and safety and security is of the utmost importance, not only for the people working there, the community that relies on the electricity and the water, but for the trail users as well. I would also like to note out that AWW's land is extremely limited. They are bound by MLNP to the north. They have the Mary Conrad Center to the south, Centennial Park to the west, and J-Bear to the east. They have very limited room for expansion. And so any kind of easement is another burden on their ability to expand in the future. And yes, there may be a trail there, but that is a trespass trail. That is not a trail that is an adopted plan. It is used by residents, frankly, through trespass. There is no legal connection to J-Bear, and if you cross over to J-Bear lands, that's where you're hitting those safety zones for active military and live fire. So I don't know how the municipality could encourage additional trespass across that land into a dangerous area. There are also other avenues to get to Centennial Park. If you look at this map, Mary Conrad Center certainly could go to the south and west to get over into Centennial Park, as could most of the other residents. So again, we do not support this trail easement.
Thank you. Are there any questions for petitioners, Representative? Thank you. With that, we'll close the public hearing. Oops, Mr. Cross, I'm sorry.
Well, I just wanted to have, is it possible to have some open dialogue on like the thought process on this? I guess with them or amongst the board, just.
Well, after we get a motion on, then we can talk about it.
Okay.
I'm closing the public hearing. Matter now rests with the board.
I'd like to go ahead and offer this document to be marked as an exhibit. Did you get one? Okay.
It's done.
Good.
It's done. So, in this case, may I have a positive motion for approval? Mr. Walker is going to make the motion. Mr. Walker, will you make your motion, please?
Yes, I move to approve the plat for 24 months, subject to the following conditions in case S12489, AWWU, and MLNP facility. That we approve the plat for 24 months, subject to items 1, 2, 3, and 4, and A and B as listed. And I think in consideration, we're wanting to add a 4C, an additional plat note, that if there is any further, upon any future development, existing driveways along the frontage will require a driveway permit from the Alaska Department of Public Transportation.
Mr. Walker, I believe it's up to you for your motion, but that should be number 5.
Except we've got 4A and B as our notes.
Okay.
And so this, if this is a plat note, it would be a 4C. I do agree, originally I was thinking it should be a 5, but I think Mr. Cross is right. It's probably a 4C.
It should be existing and future driveway.
Okay.
May I have a second, please? Mr. Porter. Mr. Walker, will you speak to your motion, please?
Yes. I believe the requirements of the code for approval criteria have been met. And that the replatting in this case is for, I think it meets all the code requirements. I don't find that there is a existing area-wide trail plan that would give us any authority to seek a trail easement in this circumstance, and I think this is the wrong forum to try and add that because of the lack of a area-wide plan on that. Also, I think even if one were in this circumstance, due to the limited area available and due to the essential services that are being provided by the community on this small parcel, that a further encroachment on the rights to expand those services and protect them shouldn't be encroached on in this case. I also find that the community that's being requesting trail access to Centennial Park should have adequate access, possibly even a shorter access through a cross street into Centennial Park. And so it isn't necessary to add an additional trail between J Bear, the military complex at this time, and Centennial Park. With respect to item 4C, basically that is a requirement that's being asked for by the petitioner and has been negotiated. All of the other items have been in agreement with the petitioner, and I don't recall seeing any negative comments. Accordingly, I'm going to be voting in favor of the motion.
Thank you. Are there any additional comments or discussion? Mr. Cross.
All right, so on hoping for some sort of trail easement, and I don't know if that's the best location for one. I'm born and raised here 47 years, and I've mountain biked through that onto those trails. Clayton, I think you and I have been on those trails together. I know I've been on them at least 60, 70 times in my life. I guess I didn't realize I was trespassing. It's just common known that's a trail access. I've been using it for, gosh, since I was a teenager in high school. So, I mean, it's interesting that now it's like, now you can't go here. I understand. I don't know if because this is sensitive and a security issue, I mean, there's trails right up to the airport. Like, I can ride my bike right up to the edge of the airport. That seems like that's a pretty sensitive area. And I can, with a good rock, probably hit a plane coming in at low elevation. So I don't know if, hey, this is sensitive, it needs to be protected, is necessarily a legitimate argument, considering the airport's pretty isolated. I guess I'd like to see something worked out with the community so they have access to that area. I know it's a military base, and we work with the military, and I've had helicopters come pretty close as we were mountain biking in there, right over our heads, and they let us keep biking. I've been chased by bears back in there, and then went all the way up to the golf course and went golfing. So I'm very familiar with that trail, and I guess I'd like to see some sort of continued use. I'd like to maybe hear from the petitioner how they see this access, because, yeah, that's a huge benefit to that area, being able to access that part. I don't know how, I know right now, I don't remember what year they went to live fire back in there or what that looks like, but yeah, just chopping that up and saying you can't come here anymore when I know that we've been using that trail for, 40 years. It may not be part of a plan, but gosh, 40 years of access seems like maybe not an established plan, but a plan that's there. What are your thoughts?
I don't know that we ever rode in this area where they marked it in red.
What do you think we were coming in at? That's what I was trying to figure out.
I thought we were coming in on the fence line. I think we were coming in on the fence line past that, and then you go up Arctic Valley. Yeah.
Well, it's that road that parallels the highway comes out by the golf course, and then there's a gate there, and we would cut across there. I just know that we'd ride right past all these facilities.
I don't think it was in the Centennial Park. I think it was deeper in here, because I think the water plant that we're thinking about is the Moose Run water plant.
I've worked on this property, but I've also, anybody here from Jay Bear? I've walked up and down the Jay Bear Trail, mostly down from north to south in the wintertime. And at the time I was employed through a corporation that was representing the military, so I wasn't really trespassing. And there's some real hazards on the military side. There's life-threatening hazards there, and I would not want to encourage anybody going on to Jay Bear where there's live training and live fire. I don't think this is in the public's best interest to do this. And when I was there, some of the things I saw were quite frightening to me. I mean, they didn't threaten me, but the snow had these traps covered where they were hard to see, and there were a lot of spikes pointing right toward where this trail would go. I don't think it's a good idea.
Well, I guess the truth of it is, even if you replat it, even if you don't give an easement, you have enough people trying to use it, they'll either have to build a bigger fence, because I don't see this slowing a whole lot of people down regardless.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there any opposition to this motion? Here. Mr. Cross. So,
I don't know, is it too late for public testimony?
yes.
All right, thank you.
So is there any opposition? Hearing and seeing none, the motion passes. Any individual may have appeal rights relating to any action the Planning Board takes. Appeal of this decision or any of the conditions is governed by AMC 21.11.304. The decision of the board at the scheduled public hearing shall become final 7 calendar days after the date the decision is made on the record, unless a written request is submitted to the Planning Division prior to expiration of the 7th day to prepare a written decision based upon the record made at the hearing, and the request is accompanied by a written notice of intent to appeal. Adoption of the written decision by the Planning Board becomes the final appealable decision. Within 20 days of the final appealable decision, any interested party must file with the municipal clerk either a written motion alleging new evidence or changed circumstances per AMC 21.11.503, or an appeal of the board's final appealable decision per AMC 21.30. Next item on our agenda is board members' comments. Any comments?
Motion to adjourn.
That's the next item.
I
is
have a
motion to-
comment real quick, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
In the future, I might recommend that rather than asking for any objections to the motion,
Yes.
to formally vote. It helps in staff, it helps in appeals, and it should be, especially in a situation like this where it could be considered controversial, to have everyone vote rather than just to raise any objections. Everyone should take a vote.
Thank you. Under board members' comments. Next item, thank you. And the next item is adjournment. May I have a motion for adjournment?
Move to adjourn.
Mr. Walker, we are adjourned. Thank you.